what does the Anzac Eve fixture mean to the footy club?
Oh, it's an incredibly important game for us as a footy club. You know, it's a real privilege and an honour to play in a game with this significance. And, you know, you saw by the club yesterday, our whole club went out to the Shrine of Remembrance just to get a greater understanding of the sacrifice and the stories behind what the servicemen and women have done for our country. And, you know, when you hear stories of 100,000, you know, people sacrificing their lives, you know, for our freedoms, you know, you think about the MCG and the 100,000 people that might be there at the footy this weekend, and you know, it's an incredible sacrifice for the freedoms that we have, and it's a great privilege and honour to play in this game. And not only that, we've got past players that have, you know, sacrificed their lives and their journeys to play for the Melbourne Footy Club. So you know, it's an incredible honour and a privilege to be a part of the game.
The AFL and pretty much every club, but particularly in Richmond and obviously on Anzac Day itself, just do a great job to commemorate it and pay homage. But how do you, in a football sense, turn all emotions into a good performance?
Yeah, that's what, you know, we talk about internally about how we can honour and best, and obviously we can't. You know, we get the chance to do something we love and enjoy, and you know, that'll come from our actions on field. And clearly, last week we weren't happy with the way we played, and we need to make sure we turn that around with how the actions that we show on field. And that's really been a big focus this week about how we get playing our best footy on a special night against a really good footy team.
So obviously your skipper's been named in the side, but what does he have to do between this morning session and sort of captain's run to make sure he's playing?
Yeah, look, it's tough, you know, obviously naming a squad of 26 on a Thursday before a Monday game. I'm not sure that's the ideal situation because we've got 3 or 4 guys that still need to get through main training today. So he just needs to train fully. You know, he's done a power of work, Gorney, and you know, we're pretty confident that he's going to be right to go, but we need to see him really finish off his work and train fully and really be clear with us that he's right to go. We certainly won't take a risk with Max. We want to make sure that he's fully fit. He's done all the work that he needs to do, and he feels really confident. And today's a big step in that.
I think maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm not exactly sure, you said he thought he might still be a month away. Has he come on a bit quicker than expected?
Oh, that was just to keep you guys off our back asking every week. So, nah, look, he's been tracking really well. You know, clearly it's a little bit, you know, earlier than first thought, but he internally has progressed fairly well. He's a pro, Gorney, when it comes to his rehab and his recovery, and he wants to play as much footy as he can. But as I said, we certainly wouldn't take a risk with him. He's been tracking on this path for probably a week or so now, and we feel that he's really comfortable with where he sits, and obviously today's an important step for him.
Just one more before I hand over to the other boys and girls. Do you think last week, is that a mulligan? Do you try and just think that's not us and forget about it? Or is there a couple of things you learn and put into place going forward?
I never look at things as a mulligan. There's always things to learn. There's always opportunities to get better from. And, you know, clearly the team that we want to be in terms of how we defend in our contest, you know, we need to make sure that's there every week. And a couple of times this year it hasn't been there. And we need to make sure we're really clear on what that looks like internally. And make sure we know what stands up, you know, as we go forward to become the best team we can. Clearly, there's elements of our game that are in really good shape. You know, offensively, we're tracking in the right direction, but we need to make sure it's on the back of consistency around our defensive actions in our contest. And we know that's where the best teams really build their brand. And you know, we need to make sure we're one of those teams. So, no, there's no mulligans here. We learn, we educate, and we make sure we're really clear on what's important to us.
So, Simon, you conceded more than 100 points last week. That was the first time in a few years, I think. So has defensive work really been the focus for you this week? And what have you done to fix that part?
It's an element of our game that's always a focus. So, as I said, that's the type of team we want to be. And that's probably the reason why we've only had 100 points kicked against us in a couple of times in the last 3 years. So, it certainly stands out when it's not to the level. So we educate our boys, we go to work, we train, and we get back to the role execution that's required to defend in the manner that's successful. And that'll be the same method this week, how we go about that business to get that element of our game back on track. So, you know, we're playing a really strong offensive team that are really good in that phase of the game. So, you know, we're up for the challenge. We're looking forward to it.
team and how he thinks he'll probably end up in the midfield a little bit later on in the season. You sort of have to consider moving him there, every 6 or 7 weeks just to make sure he's got that sort of centre bounce kind of touch, or are you just confident you can pull the trigger on him when you need him later in the season?
Oh, look, the plan is always to rotate Angus through the middle of the ground, and we're able to do that in the first week or so, especially through pre-season and the early rounds. But we've probably lacked a little bit of continuity behind the ball with our key position guys, and at times Angus has had to play a little bit taller. So, getting obviously Max Gorn back, Jake Lever back, Stephen May's now back in the team, and Michael Hibbard, it gives us the opportunity to continue to roll Angus through the middle of the ground like we planned earlier in the year. So we'll probably get back to a bit of that, and he'll spend some more time through the midfield as the season goes on. But we want to be a team that has multiple guys going through the middle of the ground. So he's certainly one player that we'd like to get back through there at times throughout the next month or so.
Ben Brown and James Harms are a couple of no absentees from your lineup this week. Can you please provide an update on those two?
Yeah, look, Brownie's had obviously 2.5 weeks out with a back. We haven't seen a lot of him train this week just yet. As I said, it's a bit awkward naming a squad of 26 on a Thursday. So he'll train fully today, and we'll get a better handle on where Ben's at today. But, we'll get him back playing footy if he gets through today's session. And Harmsy's just 1 week back. He had a few weeks away from the club. He's had a full week of training and a game under his belt. We just think he needs a little bit more work. A little bit more training, a little bit more game time, and I'm sure after his performance in the VFL last week, he'll be pushing for AFL selection in the not too distant future, that's for sure.
And Goody, a couple of those guys with injury clouds, you probably touched on them before, but Hibbard and Lever, are they both pretty good to go this week? Yeah,
look, they were, last week they were pretty close. Hibbo, we've been managing an Achilles with him for a few weeks, but we wanted to make sure we got on top of that, and he did a fair bit of game load on last Saturday, as did Jake Lever. We've been managing him a little bit, and we just wanted to get him back to 100%. We don't want to have guys having niggles throughout the whole season. So those guys are right to go, and they've certainly trained fully already this week.
And just on Richmond, what have you seen from them this year, and what are the major sort of threats you think they'll be thrown into on Monday night? Oh, look, there's no doubt, they're a very good offensive team. At their best, they transition the ball incredibly well from their back half to their front half, and certainly when they're playing dominant footy and they have big momentum swings, their ability to lock the ball in their front half strong as well. So they've got a lot of challenges. They're a really good footy club. They've got great depth in their list, and we know what the challenge will be against them, and we're up for that battle. We've got two teams that have come off losses that are keen to redeem themselves, so that makes for a cracking game and in front of our home supporters on a big occasion. So we're looking forward to it. Does that come at a good time? You sort of touched on that. The club in 100 points and Richmond being a pretty good attacking side. Does it come at a good time just to sort of remind the boys you're going to have to step up the defensive work rate, whatever, to test yourself against a side like Richmond?
Yeah, it is, and as I said, that's when we play our best footy, we play with intensity in that phase of the game and around our contest. And as I said, Richmond pose some challenges in that space. They're very good at that side of the ball. So, certainly something we'll train this week. We'll get to work, and as I said, it will come down to our action on the weekend. It's not really what we talk about now; it's how we come out and do it and execute it. So that's what I'm looking forward to on Monday night.
Last one, thanks, guys.
So does young Jackie McVee get a crack at Dusty, or at Hibbo's realm if he plays?
Judd spent a bit of time on him in the pre-season, and we like what he did on him at that stage, and I'm sure at some stage, on Monday night, Judd will get a chance to have a crack at it. So, I think he's such a quality player, Dusty, and we're going to have to keep our eyes on him. He can impact the scoreboard quickly. So whether it's Judd, whether it's Hibbo, whether it's someone else, we'll wait and see. But I'm sure Judd will get a crack at it. It's a good experience for the kid.